Mike Borgonzi trying to look at my questions. I saw you. I saw you.
Trying to get a glimpse there.
Really? You think I know what's on these cards, Mike? Get out of here. We are sitting here with the Titans GM, the belle of the ball here at the Breakers, because you have that #1 overall pick. Yeah. What's your relationship with the #1 overall pick?
Well, I had it before. At one point in Kansas City, I was there for a long time, and we actually had it.
16 years?
16 years in Kansas City, yeah. So we actually had it. It was Andy's first year when he took over in 2013. So been there before. Don't always want to be there again. But, you know, I've had some familiarity with it, yeah.
We'll try to get into that #1 overall pick. You told me this is your first owners meeting, Palm Beach.
First one. True.
So we're talking about what, Everett as a fullback? No, where
fullback?
Yeah, fullback at Brown.
Fullback at Brown, yeah.
To working under Veach and Company and Andy Reid for 16 years to now GMing. When you look around, what do you think about? Do you stop and think, holy shoot, I'm here?
You know, there's so many people. They're in the league for 16 years, and, you know, I look around now, it's guys like, you know, Chris Ballard that I worked with. It was Poles, it's Veach, and we're all GMs now. So I guess it's kind of like we've all grown up.
Who do you think's the most intimidating GM? I would vote for Chris Ballard.
Ballard?
No?
I don't know if he's the most intimidating one. He might come off like that.
Who is? Who's the most intimidating GM?
You know, that's a good question.
Say it's you.
It's
me.
It's me now, yeah.
#1 overall.
That's right.
Why are you holding that pick so close to the vest? Like, the jig is up. You're picking #1 overall.
Well, I think you want to go through the entire process. Like I said from the beginning, that I wanted to go through the entire thing, go through the quarterbacks and everybody that's on the board, go through the workouts, the combines, the private workouts that we have set up. I think that's the right thing to do, is to do your due diligence and go through the whole process before you actually come to that decision.
You could do the funniest thing ever. Since Baker Mayfield was taken 1 and not Sam Darnold, I was at that draft, and it was like being on Monday Night Raw. Nobody could believe that happened, because 99% of people said slam dunk Sam to the Browns there. Are you pretty sure you know who you're taking?
You know, I think we're getting closer to that decision right now. We have a few more boxes to check here over the next couple of weeks, but we're getting close. We're getting close.
All the X's and O's stuff, Mike, that's your world. You've got that figured out. Research, number, metrics, measurements, all of that. I'm fascinated with the interview process, because I will learn a million things about you just from how engaging you are, what you're saying, how you look, what do you look to get out of let's just say, sitting with Cam Ward? What are the questions that you want answered?
Yeah, you want to get to just know the person. I guess the hardest thing to do in this business, we're all going to miss on the tape at times, but the hardest thing to do is try to predict human behavior, right? So you really want to sit down with the person, get to know them, get to know their family as well. And then, you know, our scouts go through the school during the year, and, you know, do they love football? Do they love the process? Then once we get to the combine, we actually have a chance to sit down with the coaches. That's the first time they really get their hands on them. And to go through some X's and O's and to see if things line up to what we heard going through the school, some of their football intelligence piece, their leadership ability, you know, how they relate to people. When we bring guys in on 30 visits, it's how they relate to everybody in the building, all the different departments. We have them sit and visit with them. How relatable are they? And that's an important part of being in the locker room.
When you visited with Cam Ward, what's one thing that you learned about him? Not a football-y thing, a human thing.
He's pretty much good at everything he does, from what I hear. Research. He was a good basketball player. He was actually a good golfer, which I recently learned. Good baseball player.
That seems very important to you. You're like, oh, here he is. He's going to move up my draft board.
He's like one of those guys. You know, he's a natural at things he does. So that was interesting to me.
You were with the Chiefs for so long. What is one thing that you are taking from that experience, almost 2 decades, closer to 2 decades than not?
Yeah.
Maybe like a mantra or an ideal that you're bringing to your new position.
You want guys that love football and love the process. So that's the big thing. You know, we can go through this whole thing with talent, but are guys good teammates and they love football? It sounds simple, but, you know, it's really important to build a culture in the locker room the way you want it like that. The guys love football. They love meeting. They love working out, going through the process. They love hanging out with their teammates. That's important.
I imagine you've had lots of opportunities over those years to maybe branch out, take different jobs, interview for jobs. Why were the Titans right now the right move for you?
It felt like it was the right time for me personally, and then for, you know, just in my career, I thought it was the right time. I did a lot of, you know, had a lot of great experiences in Kansas City, got to, you know, win 3 Super Bowls at the time. And I felt like was a great time, and Tennessee was appealing to me too. You know, they have the #1 pick. It's a great place to live. And that's important to me too when I move. And if I'm going to pick my family up and move to someplace, which we loved Kansas City.
Of course.
That had to be a big part of it too.
Why don't you wear those rings? You're doing it wrong. You're a rookie here. I would just be like,
no, I don't
hi,
want to do that.
nice
no,
to, Howie, hi, you have 2. Here's my 3. No, none of that.
I'm not
Why?
big into that.
No, you're not.
No.
How do you say your last name in the most accented way possible?
Borgonzi.
Borgonzi. Mike Borgonzi.
Yeah.
I love it. You're smiling. I'm going to ask you your toughest question of the day. Are you ready?
Yeah.
No throwback unis? WTF?
I know. You know what? I let the other people take care of that. I gotta make sure the people I put in the uniform are right. And I don't really care.
Don't say you don't care. That's not the right answer.
Well, I do care, but you know, the most important part of my job is putting the right people in those uniforms. So, yeah.
That's not a bad answer. Deflecting. Yeah. He's too busy figuring out #1, doing his due diligence. Everybody, if you're going to complain about the throwbacks, Mike Borgonzi isn't the person to go after. If I were to look at your phone, if I was like Oz the Mentalist, and I could get into your phone, when would I see the last text to Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek. Probably a few years ago.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
No interest? He's saying deuces to Miami. He wants out? Any interest in reuniting with him?
He's on another team right now, so I really can't talk about Tyreek. Tyreek was a great player for us in Kansas City. You know, he was a big part of what we did there, coming up there, so I have a ton of respect for Tyreek.
These are the owners' meetings. I find that your ownership group is very special.
Yeah.
Near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
How much did that play into your move? And what would you like to maybe say about your ownership for fans?
It was a big part of it. You know, it was the first time during my interview process that I got to really sit down with Amy and Kenneth. And, you know, just that, you know, they were a big part of, you know, Bud Adams, you know, and Lamar Hunt with the AFL. So there's a lot of history there, too. And just their love and passion for the game. Really, you know, it was similar to the Hunt family for me. And then when I really got to sit down and talk with them, you know, I knew it was a special place to go.
I love that. One last one for you. If you had to throw one away, tush push or the Yankees bats?
Yankees bats.
Tell me about that. What are they doing?
The Yankees?
Yeah. Have you seen these Yankees bats?
Well, I don't like anything Yankees. I was a Red Sox fan, so.
And that's all I wanted to hear.
So.
All right, Mike Borgonzi. I'm messing that up completely. I appreciate you.
You got
Good luck with the #1 overall pick. You're keeping it close to the vest.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens or if any moves get made. You do have an opportunity to do something fun. He's got a smile on his face. He's ready to reinvigorate that fan base here in 2025. We'll be back.